welcome to this special Diwali feature on financial planning and management. I'm Karunya Rao, and with me today is Kaizad Adajania. Kaizad, it's a pleasure to have you in the studios with us today.
Hi Karunya, welcome. And
a happy Diwali to you.
Happy Diwali to you also.
You know, when we typically talk about Diwali, we think of decorations, lots of good food, meeting our dear ones, and of course, clearing our homes from old useless clutter. So why not do the same for your portfolio so you have a reason to celebrate all year round? So in this video, we tell you how to declutter your portfolio this festive season, make it New Year ready for Samvat 2078 because your money matters. Well, Kaizad, first let's talk about taking a relook at one's portfolio, the existing one. Markets have run up. Many of these mutual fund schemes have also performed very well in the last, from Diwali to Diwali. But there are obviously some underperformers and some that have done very well. So how should one sit and take a relook? Whether they should exit their investments or should they stay put? How should one figure all of that out?
So, Karunya, you're right when you said that the markets are up and the markets have been going up from Diwali to Diwali. So, usually when the markets go up, you don't get to really see the underperformers. You don't get to identify the underperformers because as they say that when the tide is high, you don't know who's naked. So, what really happens is that, most of your funds would have run up. That's one caveat. The other caveat is that, because there have been so many new fund offers that have come up and, the markets have also gone up, there's so much of euphoria. Everybody wants equities, equities, equities. So people have been accumulating a lot of funds. People have been accumulating a lot of mutual fund schemes, a lot of stocks in the past year and a half. And as a result of which, people have ended up with so many schemes in the portfolio that you don't know where to start. You have 20 schemes, 30 schemes, 40 schemes. Ideally, you only need about 7 to 8 to 10 schemes. You don't need more than that. Okay, so that's one. Number two is that, people have invested a lot in equities, but people have forgotten debt funds. People have forgotten their asset allocation. People have forgotten investing in gold funds. So you need to have asset allocation in equities, debt, gold and international equities. Now, if you see equities, usually I'm saying, depending on your age and your risk profile, usually on an average about 50 to 70% of your portfolios would be in equities or is supposed to be in equities, right. And the rest of it is supposed to be divided into the balanced assets. So if your equity allocation has really gone up or shot up rather because of the markets of going up, then you need to book profits. You need to take some money off the table.
But when your portfolio is doing so well or your fund is doing so well, aren't you greedy that, okay, let me stay or let me hold on to it so that perhaps it will do even better?
That is always the case. That is always the case. But, you have to start somewhere, and Diwali is as good an occasion to sort of clean up, as you rightly said in your introduction, you clean up your house, so you clean up your investment portfolio also. So you have to identify, which funds you need to keep, which funds to take out. Now, of course, that's a slightly detailed and a slightly long process, but essentially, have some in, have one or two, let's say, a large cap oriented scheme, have one or two flexi cap oriented scheme, have one mid cap scheme, or maybe have one small cap scheme, and that's about it. If you have too many schemes that look alike, if you have too many schemes in the same category, then you have duplication because you have the same set of stocks across all portfolios. So first identify how many schemes you have in all these subcategories. Try and take a look at how the funds have performed vis-a-vis their own benchmark indices. Don't just see, a 20% return or a 30% return or a 40% return may seem a high number individually, but when you compare it to your benchmark, it may have underperformed. And then you reallocate your assets to other assets classes which have been neglected, possibly neglected by you because of this equity run-up.
You've been tracking this space for many, many years now. How does or what does an ideal portfolio look like? Is there any, ideal standard?
There is no ideal standard. Basically, it all depends on who you are as a person, why you are saving for, what are you saving for, how many dependents do you have, what is your income, and how much money every month you're investing in your portfolio. So it's a culmination of all these things put together. Now the thing is that you start off with the most basic essential requirement in your portfolio, which is basic schemes. Start off with basic schemes. You must have at least one or two large cap oriented schemes. Could be passive funds, could be active funds. Then you go up the risk ladder, have one or two flexi cap schemes, okay, which invests across markets, the capitalization stocks, so small, large, and mid cap. It's a fund that the fund manager decides. Okay, so that is a bit of a I would say I wouldn't use the word safe in equities, but risk mitigating kind of a scheme whereby your fund house decides how to allocate your money in across different asset, mid, small, and large cap stocks, and then have one mid cap or one small cap, and that's about it.
Is there an ideal number, at least for the number of mutual funds that one should have? Because sometimes people do go overboard, right? I have seen people who have like 20, 30 odd funds here and there, everywhere.
I've seen 80 schemes in
Wow.
one portfolio. Huge.
Did you just block that person out of your life?
No, it took me days to sort of sort out that person's portfolio to bring it to a more
You're like, I'm not
manageable.
talking to this person anymore. No, but what is a good number to have?
I would say about 8 to 10.
Okay.
8 to 10, 11, 12 is okay, but not more than that.
There are thousands of mutual fund schemes. How does one go about navigating this very, very, very vast space?
We have a fantastic portfolio in Money Control called as MC30, which we just launched this year. So MC30 is basically, the idea came from what you just said, that there are over 1,000 schemes out there in the industry. How do you narrow down your choice to 7 to 12 schemes? So what we have done is that we have curated this portfolio. We have done the hard work for you, and out of 1,500 schemes out there in the market, we have carefully curated schemes across asset classes, and we have given you a tight portfolio of 30 schemes, which is why we call it MC30. It's Money Control 30. So this 30 is a good representation of equity schemes, fixed income schemes. We have a gold fund, we have an international fund. We have both active as well as passive funds.
Okay.
And we have made all the schemes go through very numerous hoops of, let's say, performance, risk adjusted returns, okay, various risk parameters like concentration risk, volatility risk, and so on and so forth. And we've given you a tight portfolio of 30 schemes. All we are telling our viewers and readers to pick up now their portfolio of 7 to 12 schemes from this tight list of 30 schemes. I mean, if you go to moneycontrol.com, you will actually see, how to actually use this MC30 to make a portfolio of about 7 to 12 schemes. So we've given you detailed analysis of all these schemes, and from there, you can easily then map it to your own risk profile and easily make a portfolio of about 7 to 12
that I
schemes.
think ought to make the investor's job quite easy, because 30 odd funds that you have identified on the basis of various parameters. So that definitely is ought to make
From
things
1,000,
much smoother.
1,500, we've got down to 30. But we are telling you not to invest in all these 30 schemes.
Yeah.
As we said, you only have to invest in 7 to 12 schemes. But then, your portfolio, my portfolio, our viewers' portfolio, all the portfolios are different. We are all individual people. So some amount of risk analysis we have to do on our own. And then we have to then decide from these 30 schemes which are the best.
But you were talking about diversifying one's portfolio. Of course, all of your money cannot be parked in mutual funds as much as one would like it.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to talk more about investing in cryptos, because that is the flavor of the entire year. And even despite all the volatility, the amount of money many of these investors have made is insane. Of course, the amount of money they've lost is also quite unreal. But
the people don't remember the losses; they only remember the gains, unfortunately.
Exactly, and all of them publish also, the success stories most of the times. So how should one go about navigating this very, very unclear, uncertain, unorganized space at this juncture? What would be your advice?
For most of the investors, I would say avoid cryptocurrencies, because it's very risky. People invest in cryptocurrencies without understanding what cryptocurrency is all about. First of all, they don't even know the fact that there are more than 100, 200, 300 crypto coins. Okay, which ones do you select and where do you start?
Yeah.
So one thing is that if you are not a risk taker, and if you just want to try out for the heck of it, then I would say avoid as far as possible. In case if you want to invest in crypto, then start at least reading up, because most of the coins which are established coins out there in the market, they've all been devised with a certain logic, with a certain thinking thought process. So there is a white paper before a crypto coin is launched. Bitcoin had a white paper, Ethereum has a white paper, and all of that. So you read the white paper, you understand why those cryptos were devised, why they are launched, what is the technology platform that they are based upon, and what is the future potential of that technology platform. Because if that platform takes off, then your crypto coins will be in demand. Okay. Also, you need to understand is that crypto market is tracked worldwide, and it is a 24/7, 365 market. Unlike the stock markets, which open at 9:30 and close at 3:30.
It's 365 days,
Crypto markets
24/7.
are 24 hours. So, which is why you have people all around the world trading 365 days in a year, 24/7
Yeah.
in cryptocurrency. So when so many people are there in the crypto market, your crypto prices are that much more volatile. So that is one big reason why crypto prices are so volatile. Okay, and also we've seen how crypto prices can, Bitcoin prices, for instance, can go up and down just because Elon Musk says something or somebody else says something. So there are a number of factors that go into determining crypto prices as on a particular minute of a particular day. So if you understand that risk profile, if you understand what you are getting into, then
You've
maybe
already scared people enough, telling them
maybe-
how complicated it is.
But it's okay. I think it's good for people to get scared first and then invest so that they know what they're investing in. That's all what we are saying. I mean, if you talk to many financial planners, Karunya, today, they are saying, and people who are actually taking up crypto, people who are learning crypto, financial planners and distributors, they say that crypto today is what equity markets used to be 30 years ago. But today, look at equity markets. So crypto also would become more formal, become more mainstream. But there is a way to invest in cryptos without just blindly getting into the deep end of the ocean.
Yeah.
So you can invest up to 4 or 5% of your corpus in crypto, and many financial planners also say this, and I also agree with it, that invest only as much as you can really afford to lose. Then your experience with crypto has more chances of satisfying you rather than making you unhappy.
Typically at this time of the year, there's a lot of gold buying that happens, physical, and now, of course, we've seen virtual also pick up over the last few years. And digital gold is something that has really caught the attention of a lot of investors. A lot of companies are also now offering, whether it's Tanishq, Kalyan Jewellers, so on and so forth. How should one go about buying that? How is it different from, say, an ETF or a sovereign gold bond?
I would actually suggest you stick to ETFs, sovereign gold bonds and gold mutual fund schemes, because they are more regulated. You get to see the price every day, and basically it's an effective way of buying gold at market prices, and it's a very transparent mechanism. So better stick to ETF, gold bonds and gold mutual funds.
I know we've picked your brains enough about every possible thing that one can do to brighten and add sparkle to your portfolio. But if there was one Diwali tip that you would like to give to our investors, what would it be?
Don't stop investing. Continue your SIPs, continue putting in money. Just because markets are up does not mean that you should stop investing. Markets are up, that means you should use this opportunity to rebalance your portfolio. But don't just withdraw and then sit on cash, because you don't know where the markets are going. Markets could go another 10,000 points also up at 45,000, 40,000, 50,000. We said that markets are now going to correct, but today markets are at around 60,000 levels. So don't stop investing, continue your SIPs, but rebalance your portfolio.
Very well said, Kaizad. And on that note, I'd like to thank you once again for joining in, for helping our viewers as well
Thank
to
you,
understand how they can add more sparkle and shine to their portfolio. Wishing you all a very happy Diwali once again from all of us at Money Control.